Hello and welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly, an in-depth look at Cuesta College athletics. I'm Peter Schuler, and in this month's show, we shall visit with volleyball and cross country. And joining us just before we leave will be Chris Christensen from Morro Bay. Joining us from women's volleyball this year are sophomores Kaylee Griffin and Hannah Catchis. So welcome, Kaylee and Hannah. Welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly. You guys are off on your sophomore seasons. How do you feel the team's doing so far?
I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. We have some making up to do because we've lost all our season games so far, but
They've all been close.
yeah, they've been really close games. I think we fought well, but I think we can beat them the next time we play them.
Last week you had a 5-game match,
Yeah.
and then you had against in conference, and then you had Ventura last week, where you almost won the first game, came back and had set point on the third
Yeah.
game, and then that 4 more set points later, the match is over. So that was a pretty tight game right
was
there.
tight, yeah.
I think you guys can come back in this now that you've seen them. I think you feel
Right,
more
yeah.
comfortable.
We have some
Yeah.
experience now, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this is your first year. This is your sophomore year for both of you guys. You played 2 years ago. What are some of those things that happened over that 1 year break to make you guys better volleyball players?
Definitely more like college experience. It's definitely a higher level than high school.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a buffer year. You have more time to kind of like adjust and kind of get to know also the freshmen that were going to be the sophomores with you this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Having the whole year to just practice and work on your skills really helped to, make us better this year. Yeah.
So coming out of Tascadero and Paso Robles High School is a bit of a jump at first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you've had that year to kind of, and now you guys are both having great seasons.
Oh, thank you.
So it's really impressive. That's why we invited you on here, because you both played so well.
Thanks.
But now, Hannah, you did do some other stuff after your freshman season. You
Oh, yeah.
went into basketball,
Yeah,
so for a little
right.
while, and then you've had doing very well last year, reaching state for track.
Right,
So
yeah. I'm going to stick with the track part on that one, but basketball, I think that was just for fun.
Like a,
well, you guys are both tall ladies, so over 6 feet
Yeah.
tall. What was it that brought you into volleyball, particularly over? I'm sure you were recruited heavily for basketball as well. So what was kind of the draw for volleyball for you?
well, I played softball for 5 years before I started playing volleyball.
Were you a pitcher, first base? What did you play?
Outfield.
Okay.
Not a fan of the softball.
I didn't know you played
Oh
softball.
yeah.
Hidden secrets.
Actually, my friend got me to start playing volleyball in 7th grade, and ever since then I just fell in love with it. I never was like, oh, I'm gonna go play volleyball. My friend was like, no, you're trying out with me now. I was like, all right, and just kind of stuck with it since then.
So volleyball has been pretty much your primary sport since you left softball.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, basketball was like softball for you. So basketball was really big in my family, and they thought I was going to do that all the years, but then I found volleyball, and I liked it a lot better. And I did track too in high school, but I started doing club volleyball, so I kind of left those ones on the back burner.
So, but in between your two volleyball seasons, you've had a lot of success with track. Is that kind of
Yeah.
come back to the front
It
now?
has,
Or is
yeah. Well, I didn't do javelin in high school because that wasn't available. So now that I'm doing
Now you
that,
can throw the
yeah,
spear.
right. So I think I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna see where that takes me this year too. So yeah, I'm excited.
All right. I mean, you had a great end of the last season.
Yeah.
And moving on there now, you are a middle blocker. You've been more to the outside hitter.
Yeah.
Is that? I'm sure you've probably been always stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Now,
Not an option. They're just like, no.
Now, you've been on the outside, or were you middle in high school, or were you always?
I was middle like freshman year in high school,
Okay.
and then they put me on the outside because they liked my hitting from there better, and I like my hitting from there better as well. So yeah, I've just kind of stuck with that since then.
Now, one of the things between basketball and volleyball, softball and volleyball, is kind of like you really have to be together as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a mental game because you can't impose your will on another team because there's a net there. How do you guys get by with that mental aspect, and how do you keep everybody kind of going together as sophomores on this team?
It's not so.
It's hard.
Yeah. But we've had some good talks as a team together. We kind of figure out what each girl kind of responds to well, and you just kind of have to. For the most part, we're all good, but I think it's just trying to like set an example with energy and like
Yeah.
don't let yourself get down because then it's gonna let them think like, oh, we're meh. But
Yeah.
I think just staying loud and like more positive kind of brings everyone up.
I see it like a family. So
Yeah.
we're all different and we all have different attitudes and everything. So we kind of just have to learn how to get along with each other, even though it's rough. But I think we've figured it out after being together for this long.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the third year of the program
Yeah,
now, you kind
right?
of
yeah, you can kind of see
you're
it
kind of
better.
like
Yeah,
taking the
You kinda know how people
parental
work.
role over
Yeah,
the younger kids.
yeah.
Is that kind of
Yeah.
they look to you for leadership and
Yeah, basically.
yeah, because we have a little bit more experience. Obviously, 3 years in, they see that.
Yeah.
So coming back for your sophomore season, you played for Coach Rocky Nystrom at the end of her tenure here at Cuesta College. Now Whitney is Myers now in charge. This is her second season. Have you seen? You got the red shirt last year during her first season. She was an assistant coach and had been a player 2 years
Yeah,
before.
Right, yeah.
What have you seen with the program in those last couple of years with Coach Meyer?
I think it's definitely new. I really like her as a coach, and I think she's really good. Our team last year was a lot shorter, so it was kind of hard getting blocks up and stuff, and you can
They
kind of
did
see
miss
that. Well, and Hannah too. But it's kind of cool to see her progress as a coach from the one year to the next. Because the first year she was more kind of like quiet and like trying to like read everybody, but this year she's like, go, like I got it. She's a lot more confident in it this year, I think.
Now, and kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I love Whitney as a coach.
Yeah.
I think she's awesome. She really cares about each person on the team, and I think that really has helped us connect with her a lot too. But yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can I just ask? I mean, obviously, it's your local community college,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's a lot of people trying to, with your guys' high school pedigree, wanting to see where you were going
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
year. What was it about Cuesta College that you decided to come to Cuesta College for?
Local. Also, I didn't know what I wanted to do education-wise. I didn't know my major. And I was like, I don't want to go somewhere far and kind of like waste time.
Yeah.
So I thought Cuesta was a good choice, and I could also play.
Same thing with me. I was local, and also, I'm not gonna lie, my grades weren't the best coming out of high school, so I figured I'd come here to kind of bring them up a little bit, go somewhere. Yeah.
Together.
So now that we've gotten a couple years under our belt, what are we kind of looking for next year?
I'm trying to look at Monterey Bay. It's close, and I think they're D2, and I think I'm that level.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I have no idea.
You're all go.
You're like,
I'm willing to go wherever, track or volleyball, either one.
Oh, yeah.
If someone takes me, I'll probably go
do
there.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck the rest of the season
Thank
with
you.
volleyball, and you know we'll see you in track. And
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
maybe you should track
somewhere.
too.
Yeah, running.
All right, that does it for volleyball here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. We'd like to thank Hannah Ketchis and Kaylee Griffin for joining us. And when we return, we'll be talking with cross country with Garen Knox and Kirsten Purcell.
This program is produced by Cuesta Broadcasting. Start your radio, TV, and film career at Cuesta College.
We're back on campus and back on the course with cross country. I am joined by Harriers Kirsten Purcell and Garen Knox from Cuesta Cross Country. I'd like to welcome Garen, Kirsten to Cuesta Sports Monthly. You guys are getting in there close towards the end of season right now. Coming up, your next race is going to be the Western State Conference Championships. How are you guys feeling so far as a group, as a team? How are the men doing?
We're looking fit. We're
All
looking
right.
ready. Yeah.
And you as a person, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just this morning I had an excellent workout. Felt really fit, looking ready for the last couple weeks of the season here to haul it in.
Now, usually what they've done is they have the WC preview meet. It will be at the same course, which is now Frank Bonelli Regional Park in Glendora, California, where we had the preview meet at Cuesta College just a few weeks back. Does that change of courses do anything for you? You finished 20th. You're right there on the cusp of the first team honors. How do you feel that change of course is going to affect you?
It varies. I mean, it's not really about the course as much because the course is just as hard for all the athletes. So all the hills at Cuesta are going to be just as hard as a less hilly course coming up. It's more about it really just depends on who's feeling better that day, who has a better race, who's more prepared.
Do you guys strategize at all for the type of course you're going to be running on?
We do a little bit, yeah, but we don't like to make that our sole purpose going into the race, our sole focus.
Now, Kirsten, this will be your second conference championships. You ran only in the conference championships last year. What you've had a little bit more action this season. What has been the change for you from last year to this year?
Just a lot more mileage and a lot more focus. Last year I wasn't mentally ready for it. I wasn't a huge fan, but this year I'm like realizing what it's doing for my track season, and it's been really benefiting me a lot. And the girls out there are awesome too, and so we just all work as a team, and it's just very beneficial to all of our successes like down the road.
Now, the first couple of races, we didn't have a full team. Everybody was kind of getting together.
Right.
Now that you seem to have a full pack going now.
Yeah.
So has that you think that's changed the team a lot? Team dynamic going into a race, you're not so lonely out there anymore.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have a bigger team. Everyone's healthy, and we're all really positive and really mentally strong together. So we work as a team and as a pack.
Now, Garen, you're kind of a Cuesta legacy because your brother Ramos came here first. Now, what was kind of the change? Was that one of the things when he came here, you saw his success and you wanted to come here? Or?
Yeah, out of high school, I knew I didn't have quite the times to run for a 4-year institution, but I was still passionate about running, and so my brother, I saw his success and he told me about it, and he said the coach is great and the team always get a bunch of nice guys, and it's a good fit with the slow high training, and so I naturally saw, including with the whole Cuesta Promise thing, it just made so much sense to come here and continue running and get fast enough to potentially run for a 4-year and continue doing what I love.
Now, you're also a track athlete like Kirsten, but you're out there in the distance things, which translates well into cross country. Is that, you feel yourself more of a track guy or more of a cross country guy, or is it just give me the yardage and let me run?
Yeah, it's kind of like the last one there. It's kind of depends on if I had a good season or not, because last cross country season I felt I had a less successful season than the next track season. So last year I would tell you that I like track more, but it really depends on how it goes.
Now,
So.
Kirsten, you're really stretching yourself. You're a middle distance runner, 4 to 8, maybe at the 8 at the top, but mostly 2 and 4 you've been running for us. Now, what do you think? How do you think cross country is helping you with your track season? Is it just the yard mileage?
Yeah, well, mileage and just like being with the closer team, and just kind of like being with Brian too. It's been really helpful. He's like been really helping me with just because 800 is a super hard event. So just mentally like getting prepared for it and getting the work and seeing the work paying off. Yeah, it's been helpful a lot.
Now, when you get back to that 200, does that change your style? Does it change your gait? What's the difference for that for you?
It's just like your twitch muscles, I guess, and just the way that, I don't know how to word it. I don't know, it's just a whole different event than the 800, I guess. Like, the 800 is so just a big mental race and just takes a lot of like endurance and mental capacity, and the 200 is kind of just like a go, snap.
Just go as fast as you can.
Yeah,
And when
yeah, not a lot of thinking.
they tell you to stop, you stop.
Yes, yeah.
Now, you always talk about your amount of, your 5 and 10K on the track. Track's a track, pretty much. Do you guys have a favorite course? Is it you get to train at Fairbanks, but do you have a course this year that you've said, wow, this is kind of fun, I like enjoying that, or do you just do you watch yourself go one foot in front of the other as you're going?
You definitely do notice the courses a lot, especially because hills do play a big part, as much as we try to tell ourselves not to think about and focus too much on the hills. But we just went up north and played around with the Western Conference, or the
northern region.
The northern regions,
Shasta.
with their SoCals, and that course was actually really fun. It was pretty much mainly dirt, a little bit of grass, and a little bit of asphalt, which is ideal to run on dirt. And they had man-made hills that they put, man-made rolling hills that were kind of like
Like whoop-de-doos type thing?
Yeah, like really steep uphill for like 3 steps and then straight down and then again. You have to do that twice. It was fun because you got a lot of flat and you got to go really fast, and then you had moments where you could potentially use the hills to your advantage.
Yeah.
Too
Call them
far
roller
from
coaster
the jump
hills.
from peak to peak stuff?
Too far.
How about for you? What's that?
I also really love that course. It's just super pretty, and I'm not really much of a hill person, just coming from track. But those hills were kind of like little roller coaster hills. They were like, one would go up really steep, and then it would kind of go down really fast, and then 2 other came. So it was just like fun to run it, and the team was really close to that one too, so that was fun.
Now, when you get into the distance races, you guys kind of merge lanes a little bit, so you kind of, it's more like cross country, but you are now in the pack. How does that feel when you have runners who could touch you? Is that a little different? You're not in your safe lane anymore. How does
Yeah, it's a little funny because you're kind of like, the beginning it's really scary because you're like gonna go through all these people, and track you don't really have to do that at all, but you're kind of like literally swimming through people. Like I was saying to one of the girls on the team, like we had to swim through people last time, like we had to push through and use our elbows, and then the race usually calms down like the first mile. Everyone
kinda
kind of like
spreads out a little bit.
separates. Yeah, but
We
it's
kind of
different.
like to watch the openings to see if there's somebody
Yeah,
goes splat a little
we
bit.
always wish that doesn't happen.
Now, one of the things, you guys have both been in the program for a couple years now, and there's always new kids coming in. How do you guys, is your experience, do you have to take a leadership role with the team? How does that working with those newcomers to kind of bring them into the fold?
Yeah, my Loker over the summer asked me if I'd like to step up as a team captain this season, and I took the chance. And what I bring to the table is my high school experience. I ran for 3 years in high school, and the previous year's experience, and I get to help there's a lot of newer people who maybe haven't run as long in high school, and I get a couple moments to flex my running knowledge and help out when
Here's how it is, kid.
yeah, sometimes Loker can't be out there on the run, and someone asks me a question about pace or about their race coming up, and I think it's helpful for the whole team to be able to tell them what's up and tell them like what the ideal thing to do in that situation would be.
That's good. That's exactly what the team needs right there. So how about with you? Is just you're waiting for track season for that?
Well, no, cross country's been different this year because I've had to help. I'm a 3rd year now, so I've had to help a lot of the younger girls also, like Garen was saying. A lot of them are newer, and they don't seem to know like their pace is right, or they have a lot of questions, and it's like really fascinating to help them and just see them improve also and be out there as a leader.
Now, one of the things my group did yesterday was we took a little break from the pool and went on a team surf workout. Now I know both of you guys enjoy surfing. Is that something that kind of mixes in? Is that your cross training right there?
Don't tell Loker, but
Yeah, over the summer, yes.
yeah. I mean,
All right, that's it for cross country. I'd like to thank again Kirsten Purcell and Garrett Knox for joining us here, and we're going to wish them and the rest of the Harriers a great season on their way to the state championships. When we return, we'll be meeting with Cuesta Athletic supporter Gary Chris Christensen here on Cuesta Sports Monthly.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communications. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communications.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to KGUR.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information. Cuesta.edu.
We're back with Cuesta Sports Monthly, and I am Peter Schuler, and I am here today with Gary Chris Christensen, who's a big supporter of Cuesta College athletics and Cuesta College itself. I'd like to welcome you here to Cuesta Sports Monthly, Gary.
Thanks, Peter.
Chris, now, so tell me some of the things. You live in Morro Bay. You've been a member of the chamber out there. Some of the things that Cuesta College and the chamber have been able to kind of do.
Well, when I was president of the chamber for 2 years, and then I was the treasurer for another 4 years after that. And the whole time that I was involved with the chamber, we always looked to Cuesta and tried to get as much representation for the college as we could, because junior colleges were really big for me in my adolescent years. It kind of gave me the start to my career, actually. A 2-year college was all I ever managed to get through. I was pretty busy surfing, but I could do 2 years. And I always really appreciated 2-year college. And when I moved up here from Southern California, I had heard that they might be looking for some help here at the college in the bookstore. So I went to work in the bookstore. And while I was there, I met Nancy Webb, and really nice gal, and she worked for the athletic department, and she told me that they were having problems with all of the drivers, where most of them were coaches. And a lot of times it was hard on the coaches to coach games all day long and then try to drive from the valley back here, a 2 or 3 hour drive. They were tired, and it was a long drive. So she was kidding around one day. She goes, "Why don't you go get a Class B license and you can be one of our drivers?" And I said, "I can do that. I'm retired. I can do much anything I want, just working part-time here at the bookstore." So I did. I went and got a Class B license, and I got a hold of her, and I told her I had a Class B license, and she was thrilled. And then she introduced me to your boss, Bob Mariucci, who was a great guy, and I'm involved in country music, and Bob loves country music, so him and I hit it off right away. And I told him, "I'm just here. I got a license, and I'm willing to help where I can, when and if you need me." And he was pretty excited that he had another driver to help out for those days that the coaches were going to.
Yeah, Class B driver's license is nothing easy to get. It's on a whim.
It was harder than I thought it was going to be. Thank goodness for Brian Loker, your track and field guy.
Yeah, okay, I ushered you through
He
there.
helped me, coached me through it, told me what to expect and all the inspections and all of the stuff to do. And with his help, I managed to pass it first time, so it was a piece of cake.
Now, you're. You said you're retired, but you're kind of more like a semi-retired thing, because you're still very involved.
Yeah.
With country music and the awards there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. What are you doing there with country music?
Well, a few years ago, I decided I wanted to get back involved with that. My parents and I were involved back in the early '60s. We actually founded the Academy of Country Music Awards show. And we've held the first couple of awards shows were like a buffet at our nightclub. And we had a lot of country music artists at that time that were involved in the early days: Buck Owens, Buckaroos, Dwight Yoakam, Merle Haggard, and those guys, Eddie Miller. And Eddie Miller actually was a great songwriter. He wrote "Release Me" and "King of the Road" and some of those big time hits in those days. But him and my dad became good drinking buddies, and they decided to have this award show because they didn't think country music got much respect. And so they were going to honor some of the country western artists that were on the West Coast. And we didn't think all the country music came out of Nashville, and it didn't. So, and we discovered the Bakersfield Sound, and the rest of it kind of became history. Eventually, Dick Clark and American Bandstand fame discovered what we were doing, put it on national television, and the rest is pretty much history. It's been going now for 54 years. And just this August, I actually received our first 2 Academy Awards for my mom and myself and my dad for being founders of the Academy of Country Music Awards show.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah,
again.
thank you.
Now, you talk about your folks were kind of into country music, but being a California guy and a surfer and stuff like that, how did that, is that kind of a legacy from your parents? And
yeah, it was. My dad was actually in the jukebox business, and he owned all kinds of jukeboxes all over Southern California, and he used to take me with him to Capitol Records and help buy all the 45s to put on the jukeboxes, because I listened to the radio all the time when I was younger. So he said, "You know all the music that
young
everybody
kids
listens
know what's
to."
going on.
Yeah. So he said, "Go downstairs in the basement of Capitol Records there in Hollywood and buy 250 45s, and we'll put them on the jukebox, and you and your mom can type them all up and put those little labels in the jukeboxes." And so that's what I did, and I just got hooked on music, and he loved country music, so I had to buy a lot of country music besides all the rock stars that I liked. But I knew it all, and I eventually learned to love a lot of country. I found out they wrote and sang about a lot of great stories and about love and life and loss and all that stuff. And so I eventually fell in love with country music too.
I know you and I have been on a couple van rides last year when I was injured and you were helping out. We have a lot of music tastes in common.
A
so
lot
that
of
was a lot of fun.
background there. Yeah.
I don't know how the back of the van felt about how we were listening there and enjoying music together. But what are some of the things? I mean, being retired and being in the country music scene, and then coming over here and dealing with these 18, 19, 20-year-olds we have at Cuesta College, how does that inform your life? What does that do for you to have that connection with those?
You know,
those
it's
great
really
young kids?
been a lot of fun. I just did it, like I said originally, to help out, but I had no idea it was going to be so much fun. These, especially the girls' teams, and that's pretty much what I've ended up driving for mostly, is the girls' softball and water polo, some of the volleyball teams. But it was so interesting to me because I always gave them an option of listening to what I wanted to listen to on the radio. I mean, we were in the car or the van for 2-3 hours sometimes, or their own music. And every once in a while they'd have a little iPod and they want to plug it in. And darn if they wouldn't start playing all this old rock music that I used to listen to in the 60s. And then every once in a while some girls go, I just want to hear country music. I went, oh, put that girl over in the front seat so her and I would put on country music. It was amazing how much old music the young girls and boys seemed to really love. So stuff that we thought was classics, you know. And
Well, I guess that's why they're classic.
I guess so, but it was really fun. And I would always ask them, so, how did you know about that song? You know, my dad used to listen to that all the time, and so it was kind of fun. I really had a good time. I still do enjoy driving the girls and the boys because we have a lot of fun, and they remind me, you know, what it's like to be young again. You know, they help keep me young.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I have a rule that if we're on an even number highway, it's their music, and on the odd numbers, it's mine. We spend a lot of time on the 101.
I wondered how you worked that out.
So that's how it's a 50-50 thing, odd even. So I work a little bit better. When I'm driving, you need a little help on that one. Well, you've had a very exciting professional life, and especially with country music. What would you say? Who was the most surprising you've met or gotten to work with in that?
You know, I think if I was to really summarize it, two people really stand out to me. One was George Strait, who was a real gentleman, and the other was Taylor Swift. Taylor and I met at the 2009 Academy Awards. They had actually a George Strait special. George got Artist of the Decade, but we had an after awards show party there at the MGM Grand, which is where we hold the awards show every year now, and one of the surprises was that Taylor was up there, and Taylor had just come out on the country music scene. And I remember my mom was actually with me. She was 92 at the time. And she said, that girl is not country. And I said, well, Mom, it doesn't really matter. If she brings a lot of young people back into country music, I don't care what she called herself, you know. And sure enough, she did. But as it was, she was a great writer. She just wrote things that young people, young girls especially, could really relate to. And she wrote about love and all of those things, and guys that burned her, and the girls loved that. And sure enough, she brought a lot of young people back to country music. But she was there that night. And actually, I was walking around looking for people to take pictures with my mom, and I turned around real quick, and darn if I didn't run right straight into Taylor, almost knocked her down on the ground and grabbed her. And she goes, hi, like I was somebody she knew. And I went, I know you don't know me, but I'd like to get a picture with you and my mom. She goes, yeah, who's your mom? And I told her, and she goes, oh, you guys are one of the founders. And she actually knew the history of the award show. And she came over, she got down on her knees. My mom was in a wheelchair at the time. And she got down on her knees and talked to Mom for about 30 minutes, and just a real sweetheart. What you see is what you get with Taylor. It's a real genuinely nice young lady and adorable, and she was just willing to do anything that she could to help.
Well,
it really impressed me. Her and Miranda Lambert. And Miranda was just a real sweetheart.
Well, that's get those two and tell those stories with the teams. I'm sure
Yeah.
that really gets them excited. Is it tough being a fan and being as involved as you are?
Yeah, sometimes it crosses over. You know, I find myself a little bit starstruck once in a while. Like when I ran into Blake Shelton, I was like, I wanted to talk, just chat like we're doing, but I was like tongue-tied. I couldn't answer at all.
Well, we like having you out there with us, and love the stories, and you know, we're a fan of you, and I know that you're a fan of us.
Well, I'm
so
a
we
big
really appreciate
fan
you.
of Cuesta College and
So-
junior colleges. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was the start of my whole career, and it got me on the right path and got me out of some of the drugs and things that I was tempted to get into when I was younger, involved in surfing, and we had some sayings that I won't repeat on air
Yeah.
here, but it was a lifestyle that had fraught with a lot of downfalls and pitfalls, but college and junior college really got me on a trail that helped me to establish a career.
Well, we're glad to have you come full circle back to Cuesta College there.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much for joining us, Chris.
Absolutely.
And that concludes today's edition of Cuesta Sports Monthly. We'd like to thank today's guests, Kaylee Griffin, Hannah Catchis, Garen Knox, Kirsten Purcell, and of course, my good friend Chris. Join us next time for soccer and wrestling and basketball Remember to stay up to date on Cuesta Athletics. Visit the Cuesta Athletic website for information on all of Cuesta Athletic teams. The show is produced at Cuesta College by the Cuesta Film, Television, and Electronic Media Department as part of the Cuesta TV project. I'm Peter Schuler, and for all of us here at Cuesta, thanks for watching and thanks for your support of Cuesta College Athletics.